What is going on, guys? It's your boy Zoo. We're back with another video. It is Wednesday, January 13th, which means it is the start of the NHL 2021 season. I'm hyped. I know you all are hyped. We've been missing hockey, so it's going to be a great season. It's going to be a weird one because everyone's playing in bubbles, but it's live hockey nonetheless. Today we are going to be doing a simulation of the 2021 season in NHL 21. I'm also going to align the teams how they are aligned in this year's season in the proper divisions. And right before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned with all the hockey content that I will be putting out. Without further ado, let's get started.
Yeah, nightmares keep haunting me. Being at the top is never guaranteed. Last thing I want is a nominee. Wanna stack up awards like 1, 2, 3. Keep calm and relax, I'm supposed to be.
And just to show you guys real quick, we are using the most up-to-date rosters, which is the December 22nd roster. Hopefully we'll get roster shares soon. Don't count on it, but hopefully. Alright guys, so as you can see here, I arranged the teams in the proper divisions that they are going to be in. So in the first division, we have Colorado, Arizona, Los Angeles, Minnesota, San Jose, St. Louis, Anaheim, and Vegas. In the Canada division, we have Calgary, Winnipeg, Montreal, Edmonton, Ottawa, Toronto, Vancouver. In the East division, we have Boston, Buffalo, New Jersey, Islanders, Rangers, Flyers, Penguins, and Capitals. And then the last division is Carolina, Columbus, Detroit, Florida, Dallas, Chicago, Tampa Bay, and Nashville. So let's get into the settings that I'm choosing for this season simulation. So for this simulation, it's going to be a little bit more weird than the other simulations because of the fact that the teams are playing in isolated bubble arenas. There won't be a lot of trades this year, I don't believe, just because the players will have to go through, COVID protocol to join the other team. So I turned CPU trades off. I also turned the cap off. I'm basically doing this with as minimal input as possible, so that way I don't have to take over the teams. But we have auto staff management on and auto sign free agents on. Other than that, everything is turned off. Now let's go into the gameplay settings. All right, so in the quick settings, I basically made it as realistic as possible. I put the game style on full sim. I turned injuries off. I put period length on 20 minutes, and I put the difficulty on superstar. Computer trades are off, stuff like that. So everything is pretty much just one season and done. We're not really going to be changing any teams, obviously. In the advanced settings, I kept the sim engine scoring at medium, and I also kept the shot frequency at medium. However, we are playing an 82 game season. I wish there was a way to change how many games, but that's as close as we're going to get. I am choosing the Calgary Flames. However, I won't be making any trades, any signings, anything like that. I'm just going to let the GMs kind of do their thing, and we're just going to go through with the season. So let's get started. Alright, so here we are at the start of the 2021 season. So how this is basically going to work is I'm going to simulate month to month. I'm going to show you guys the standings. I'm going to show you guys the leading scores, stuff like that. And we'll just go through month to month until we hit the playoffs. Alright, as you guys can see, we are now at November 1st of 2020, but it's actually 2021. Let's take a look real quick at the standings, see who's at the top of the league, see who's at the bottom of the leagues. Alright, as you guys can see here, first place in the Canadian division is actually the Ottawa Senators with a record at 9-2-1. Toronto is in second, Winnipeg's in third, and Vancouver is in a wild card spot. Now in the real NHL, it'll be the top 4 teams from each division making the playoffs. However, I have no control over that, so this is what we're going to have to roll with. So the Oilers are actually in a wild card spot. However, they're 5th in the Canadian division. Let's check the other divisions real quick. Alright, in the West Division, we have the Anaheim Ducks in first place with a record of 10-4-0. In second is the Arizona Coyotes. In third, the Colorado Avalanche. And in fourth is the San Jose Sharks. And in the East Division, we have the Washington Capitals in first with a record of 10-2-0. The Buffalo Sabres in second with a record of 9-3-0. Boston Bruins 7-4-1 in third place. And the Pittsburgh Penguins with a 5-4-2 record in fourth place. And in the Central Division, we have the Carolina Hurricanes in first place with a record at 9-2-1. The Chicago Blackhawks 8-4-0 second place. The Dallas Stars 5-6-1 third place. And Nashville 5-5-0 in fourth place. So it looks like the Central Division's a little bit weaker than the other divisions, which is kind of expected. This East Division is a pretty tough division. Now let's check out the leading scores of the league after the first month. So leading the league after the first month is actually Rickard Rakell with 21 points in 14 games. TJ Oshie there in second with 12 games played and 17 points. Getzlaf 17 points in 14 games. Vincent Trocheck's actually 4th in the league in points, and Svechnikov is 5th. So a very interesting, nonetheless, race for the Art Ross. Let's check the Maurice Richard real quick. And for the Maurice Richard, we actually have Vincent Trocheck in first with 10 goals in 12 games. Raquel is in second with 9 and 14. Tyler Seguin with 8 and 12. Barkov also has 8. Also with 8, we also have Brendan Gallagher, John Tavares, Andrei Svechnikov, Steven Stamkos. So an interesting race for points and goals right now. Let's check out goaltenders real quick. And from the looks of it, the best goalie in the league right now is actually John Gibson on the Ducks. He has a record of 9 and 4 with a .934 save percentage and a 2 goals against. Right behind him is Connor Hellebuck, who also has very impressive stats. Matt Murray on the Ottawa Senators is also playing very good, and Antti Raanta is actually playing really good on the Coyotes. So let's simulate through November, and then we'll come back to seeing who's leading the league. It is now December 1st, 2020, aka 2021. Let's go check and see who is leading the league right now. As I looked at it, Toronto is doing very good. So in the Canadian division, Toronto is in first with a record of 23 and 1, 9 points up on the Flames for first place in the division. Calgary there in second with a record of 15-9 and 2. The Winnipeg Jets in third with 15-11 and 0, and the Vancouver Canucks in fourth with a 12-8 and 4 record. Let's check the West Division now. Anaheim still in first with a record of 16 and 12. San Jose in second, 14-10 and 2. The Coyotes in third, 14-9 and 1, and the Minnesota Wild 12-9 and 4. So that's crazy. The Vegas Golden Knights, the St. Louis Blues, and the Colorado Avalanche are all out of a playoff spot. That's insane. Let's check the East Division now. Washington in first place with a record of 17-8 and 1. Buffalo in second, 16-10 and 1. The Pittsburgh Penguins third, 12-10 and 4, and the Flyers there fourth, 13-12 and 1. Let's check the Central Division now. Carolina first place, 17-6 and 2. The Tampa Bay Lightning 16-8 and 0. The Chicago Blackhawks 15-8 and 1, and the Dallas Stars 13-10 and 3. So let's check the leaders in the points and the goals and the goalies. So leading the league in points at December 1st is Jack Eichel of the Buffalo Sabres. He has 35 points in 27 games. Him and Taylor Hall this year are going to be insane. Second is Tyler Seguin with 32 and 26. Then third is Claude Giroux with 30 and 26. And Radulov also has 30 and 26. So this is looking a little more realistic than what the first month showed. But let's check the goals now, see who's leading the league in goals. We have John Tavares of the Leafs with 16 and 24. Austin Matthews is also tied with him for 16 and 24. Trocheck's still playing pretty good. He's got 15 and 25 games, actually. And Seguin has 15 and 26. So a little more realistic now, not having Vinny Trocheck leading the league in goals. But hey, you never know. This is a weird year. So let's check the goalie stats now. And for goalies, we have Frederik Andersen absolutely dominating on the Leafs. He has a 15-2-1 record with 2 shutouts, a .932 save percentage, and a .194 goals against. John Gibson kind of dropped off a little bit. He's 14-11 and 0 with 2 shutouts, a .906 and a .278. So a little more realistic playing on that Ducks team. And Vasilevsky's there in third, tied with wins with Hellebuck in the same amount of games, same record. Hellebuck actually has a very good save percentage of .933 and a .209 goals against. So Hellebuck is also playing very good. Alright, let's simulate through the month of December now. Alright guys, we are done the month of December. Let's go ahead and take a look at who's leading the league in the standings. So in the Canadian division, we have the Calgary Flames actually in first place with a record of 23-13 and 5. However, they're 1 point ahead of the Leafs and they've played 4 more games. The Leafs in second, they're 24-11 and 2. The Jets are in third with a record of 23-16 and 1. And the Oilers are there in fourth with a record of 20-15 and 3. In the West Division now, we still have Anaheim in first place with a record of 25-17 and 0. In second is the Minnesota Wild with a record of 22-13 and 4. And in third, we have the San Jose Sharks with a record of 20-17 and 3. And in fourth, we have the Arizona Coyotes with a record of 19-16 and 4. So a very surprising West Division. No Colorado, no St. Louis, no Vegas. That's very interesting. In the East Division, we have the Buffalo Sabres in first with a record of 27-11 and 2. The Washington Capitals are in second with a record of 23-14 and 2. Third is the New Jersey Devils with a record of 22-16 and 3. And the Flyers are in the fourth spot there with a record of 21-16 and 3. And in the Central Division, we have the Carolina Hurricanes in first with a record of 26-9 and 3. The Lightning there in second, tied actually with the Hurricanes with a record of 27-11 and 1. The Dallas Stars are in third with a record of 21-13 and 4, and the Chicago Blackhawks are holding on to that fourth spot with a record of 22-15 and 1. So the Central Division looks very, very predictable how it should be going with Carolina, Tampa Bay, and Dallas in the top 3. A couple surprises here in the East Division, with Buffalo being first. I didn't really expect that. I don't even know if they're going to make it. New Jersey also there in a playoff spot, which is kind of surprising. No Penguins. The Bruins have fallen off a cliff after losing Chara and Krug. In the Canadian Division, it's really all open. Every team pretty much is competing for a spot, so it's pretty open. Who knows what's going to happen there. And then in the West Division, also a very shocker here with the Ducks being in first and the Sharks actually making the playoff spot. So we'll keep watching that, see if teams like Colorado, St. Louis, Vegas, they can make a comeback to make a playoff push. Let's go ahead now and check out the point leaders in the league and the goal leaders and also the goalies. So leading the league in points is Evgeny Malkin with 55 points in 40 games. Tyler Seguin, 2 less games played than him, and he's only 6 points off, 49 points in 38 games. And Jake Guentzel there in third with 48 points in 40 games. Dylan Larkin, the new captain for the Detroit Red Wings, has 46 and 38. And Jack Eichel's in fifth with 45 and 40. So that Pittsburgh Penguins team, they're still pushing. They're still pushing for one more cup for Crosby and Malkin. And we actually have a 3-way tie for goals so far in the league. We have Patrick Kane, Tyler Seguin, and Austin Matthews all with 23. Vincent Trocheck there in 4th place with 22. He's tied with Mark Stone, the new captain of the Vegas Golden Knights, and Evgeny Malkin. For goalies now, John Gibson is leading the league in wins with 22, 15-0 with 3 shutouts, a 907 and a 284. If we check the league for save percentage, James Reimer actually has the best save percentage for the Carolina Hurricanes with a 12-5-2 record and 929 save percentage. And James Reimer also has the best goals against average in the league with a 207. So James Reimer is actually playing very good for Carolina, who is a very stacked defensive team. Let's go ahead and simulate through the month of January now. Had to stop the simulation to show you guys this. The Vegas Golden Knights have fired their head coach with all good reasoning, seeming that Vegas is not even in playoff contention. So interesting. We'll see how that plays out throughout this season. Alright, we are through with the month of January. Let's check out who's leading the league and also the players that are leading in points and goals. In the Canadian Division, the Toronto Maple Leafs have reclaimed first place with a record of 31-14-4. The Winnipeg Jets are now in second place with a record of 28-19-3. The Calgary Flames are in third with 26-18-7. And the Edmonton Oilers have that fourth spot with a record of 27-19-4. In the West Division, it looks about the same. Anaheim, first place, 29-21-1. Minnesota, second, 26-19-5. San Jose, third, 25-21-4. And Arizona in that fourth spot with a record of 23-21-6. In the East Division now, Buffalo is still in first place with a record of 32-15-3. Philly's actually jumped to second now with a record of 29-18-3. The Washington Capitals are third with a record of 28-18-3. And the New York Rangers jump into the fourth spot with a record of 25-19-7. And in the Central Division, the Hurricanes are still in first with a record of 31-13-6. The Tampa Bay Lightning still in second with a record of 32-15-3. The Chicago Blackhawks are in third with a record of 29-20-2, and the Dallas Stars have that fourth spot with a record of 27-18-5. Going over to players now, Evgeny Malkin still first in that Art Ross race with 72 points in 50 games. Jake Guentzel in second with 64. Tyler Seguin in third with 60, tied with Sidney Crosby with 60. Aho there with 57, Eichel with 56, and Larkin with 56. Let's check out goals now, see who's winning the Maurice Richard race. It's Tyler Seguin with 32 goals in 50 games. Patrick Kane and Austin Matthews both have 31. Evgeny Malkin has 30, and then Mark Stone's there, tied with Ovechkin and Tavares for 26. Checking out the goalies now, we actually have a new win leader. Tied with Connor Hellebuck is Linus Ullmark with a record of 25-8-2 and 2 shutouts. Connor Hellebuck actually has 6 shutouts already this season, a 925 and a 235, so he's my early push for the Vezina this simulation. Frederick Anderson there in third with 24-12-3 with 4 shutouts. So alright, we got 2 more months to simulate through, so let's get through February. Alright, the month of February is done. We're about to head into the last month of this simulation, but first let's check the standings, let's check the point leaders. So in first place in the Canadian Division, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs with a record of 41-17-5. The Winnipeg Jets are in second with a record of 36-23-5. The Edmonton Oilers have jumped up to third now with a record of 35-23-6, and the Flames are holding that 4th spot down with a record of 30-24-10. In the West Division, we actually have Minnesota in first now with a record of 34-22-8. The Anaheim Ducks there are in second with a record of 34-29-2. The Colorado Avalanche have jumped up into the playoff race with a record of 29-26-9. And the St. Louis Blues hold that 4th spot with a record of 31-29-4. So 2 team changes in that West Division there. In the East Division now, we have the Buffalo Sabres still in first with a record of 39-20-4. The Penguins have actually jumped up now with good play from Malkin, Crosby, and Guentzel. They're in second with a record of 37-23-3. 22-6. The Philadelphia Flyers there in third with a record of 37-23-4, and the Washington Capitals holding down that fourth spot with a record of 34-24-6. In the Central Division now we have the Tampa Bay Lightning in first place with a record of 41-19-3, which sounds about right. The Carolina Hurricanes are in second with a record of 39-17-7. The Chicago Blackhawks still holding a spot with a record of 37-24-3, and the Dallas Stars have that fourth spot with a record of 35-23-5. Looking at points, Evgeny Malkin is still in first place with 93 points in 65 games. Keep in mind, this is still on medium sim engine scoring, which is crazy. Crosby there in second with 78 points in 65, and Gensel in third with 78 points in 65. So that line of Crosby, Malkin, and Gensel is just going to town right now. In fourth place, we have Connor McDavid with 77 points in 64 games. This is the first time he's kind of come up on the leaderboard, so it's good to see him actually striving. We have Tyler Seguin with 73 in 63, and Dylan Larkin with 72 in 64. For goals, we have Tyler Seguin, who's first in the league with 40 goals in 63 games. Now, I know Tyler Seguin is... he's injured right now. I don't know when he's supposed to be coming back, but I wanted to keep the normal players in the sim engine just because don't know when the players are coming back. I don't want to have to try and bring them in halfway through the season. So kept Tyler Seguin in, kept a lot of players in. Patrick Kane there, he's in second with 38 goals in 64 games. He's tied with Evgeny Malkin. And Austin Matthews and Ovechkin are also tied with 35 goals in 63 games. Now for goalies, Freddie Anderson has reclaimed his first place spot. He's got 33 wins, 14 losses, and 4 overtime losses with 6 shutouts, a 917 and a 234. Malcolm Subban for the Blackhawks is playing crazy good. He's got 32, 21, and 3 with a shutout. So he's helping Chicago hold down a playoff spot in that Central Division. Vasilevsky there 31-15-3, 4 shutouts, and Hellebuck 31-19-4 with 6 shutouts, a 920 and a 248. Let's check the leaders for save percentage. It's still James Reimer with a 927, and the leader for goals against average is still James Reimer with a 202. All right, we're in the month of March, which means this is the last month of the season. Let's get through it and see how the playoffs are going to unfold. Alright, so the NHL season is complete. We are into the playoffs now. Now, I don't know how the playoffs are going to work in real life. I would assume that it'd be 1-4 and 2-3 in the same division play against each other. However, I'm not too sure. But with this simulation, we have no choice. We have to do first place plays the wild card and etc. stuff like that. So let's check out how each team finished, and we'll check out the points and then the playoff tree. So first place in the Canadian division and first place in the conference, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs with a record of 51-24-7 for 109 points. In second, we have the Winnipeg Jets with 103 points. In third, we have the Edmonton Oilers with 101 points. And in fourth, we have the Vancouver Canucks with 93 points. So these top 4 teams would be the teams that would make it into the playoffs. However, due to this simulation, I can't control that. So the Montreal Canadiens actually squeak in with 91 points. In the West Division, we have the Minnesota Wild in first place with 95 points, the San Jose Sharks in second place with 89 points, and the Anaheim Ducks in third with 86 points. 1 point out was Colorado. However, they would have made it over Montreal, but they were 1 point out of this division, so they won't be in this simulation. In the East Division, we actually have 4-4, which is perfect. The Buffalo Sabres in first in the East Division, 105 points. Philadelphia in second with 101. Pittsburgh Penguins in third with 100 points. And the Washington Capitals in fourth with 92. 1 point out was the New York Islanders, and 2 points out was the New York Rangers. So a very tough division, this East one. And in the Central Division, the Carolina Hurricanes actually end up taking first place with a record of 50-23-9 for 109 points. They also win their conference. Second place is the Tampa Bay Lightning with 104 points. Third place is the Blackhawks with 102, and in fourth is 93 points, the Dallas Stars. So first place in points, if you couldn't have guessed it already, it's Evgeny Malkin with 115 in 82 games. In second is Tyler Seguin with 98. He's tied with Connor McDavid, and Jack Eichel's right there with 97. Leading the league in goals this year was Patrick Kane with 52. Tyler Seguin had 49, Malkin had 47, and Kucherov had 42. So Kucherov and Seguin both injured. They won't be playing as soon as the season starts, but Patrick Kane wins that Rocket Richard trophy. For goalies now, Malcolm Subban actually leads the league in wins with 43 wins, 5 shutouts, a 909 and a 271. Hellebuck won behind him with 42 wins, Freddie Anderson 41, Vasilevsky with 40. Dubnyk on the Sharks actually with 37 wins, which is pretty impressive. Leading the league in shutouts this year is Connor Hellebuck with 7. Braden Holtby on the Canucks had 6. He's tied with Frederik Andersen, Carter Hart. For save percentage, we still have James Reimer with a 927, Hellebuck with a 922, and Montembeault actually had a 921, tied with Thatcher Demko. For goals against average, James Reimer also led the league in goals against average. David Rittich actually had a 227, which is very close. And just quickly going to check, because I always got to check. No goalie goals this year. We do have a goalie goal. Malcolm Subban actually scored a goal. That's crazy. So Malcolm Subban had 2 points this season. Bishop actually led the league for goalies in points with 4 assists, but Malcolm Subban actually potted a goal, so good for him. We're going to check rookie skaters now. We have Lafreniere with the most points in the league for rookies with 46, and he also had the most goals in the league with 17. Alright, so now we're looking at the playoff tree. In the West, we have Winnipeg versus Edmonton, and we also have Toronto versus Montreal. We have San Jose versus Anaheim, and we have Minnesota versus Vancouver. So we got some good rivalries there. We have Toronto versus Montreal and San Jose versus Anaheim. In the East now, we have Tampa Bay versus Chicago. We have Carolina versus Washington. Philadelphia versus Pittsburgh. That will be a good series. And Buffalo versus Dallas. And the game actually showed that the playoff favorite to win is actually Carolina. So we'll keep tabs on that, but let's get through the first round here. So after the first round, we have Winnipeg beating the Oilers in 6. We have Toronto beating the Canadiens in 5. The Ducks beat the Sharks in 6. And the Minnesota Wild beat the Vancouver Canucks in 5. Which means in the West, we have Toronto versus Winnipeg and Minnesota versus Anaheim. In the East, we have Tampa Bay sweeping the Blackhawks. We have Washington beating Carolina in 7. Keep in mind, Carolina was the Cup favorite, so they're out in the first round. We have Philly beating the Penguins in 6, and we have Buffalo beating the Stars in 5, which means in the East, we have Tampa versus Washington and Buffalo versus Philadelphia. Quickly show you guys as well, the Toronto Maple Leafs are now the playoff favorites, so we'll keep tabs on them as this season goes through. Alright, so we are on to the conference finals now. The Leafs sweep the Winnipeg Jets, which means the Leafs have lost 1 game in these playoffs, and the Wild actually beat the Ducks 4-2. So now in the West, it's going to be Toronto versus Minnesota. Now in the East, we have Tampa Bay beating Washington in 6, and we have Philly beating Buffalo in 7, so we have a Tampa Bay versus Philly East final. Alright, we are at the Stanley Cup Final now. The Leafs beat the Wild in 6, which is crazy because the Wild actually had a 2-0 lead, which is pretty impressive for the Leafs, who have only lost 3 games going into this Cup Final. Tampa Bay beats Philly in 7, which means the Cup Final is going to be Toronto versus Tampa Bay. Let's quickly take a look at the playoff point leaders as well before we start this simulation. Alright, so leading the playoffs in points is James Van Riemsdyk. He's tied with Jacob Voracek for 24 points in 20 games. Mitch Marner there with 23 points in 15 games. And Oscar Lindblom with 23 points in 20 games. So a little surprise there. William Nylander with 21 and 20. Giroux with 20 and 20. So a lot of flyers, but looks like the Leafs players in Nylander, Marner, Matthews, stuff like that, they are getting it done. And the best goalie in the playoffs right now is Frederik Andersen with a record of 12-3-0. 5 shutouts in this playoffs with a .931 and a .189. So Freddie Andersen is definitely my early push for the Conn Smythe Award. Andre Vasilevsky there, 12-5-0 with a shutout, .923 and .235. Alright, so let's simulate game through game of these playoffs. First game, we have Toronto beating Tampa Bay. They're up 1-0 in the series now. Tied series 1-1 as Tampa wins game number 2. Toronto up 2-1 now, beating Tampa Bay in game 3. Game number 4, the Leafs are up 3-1. The Leafs only need 1 more to win the Stanley Cup. And the Leafs do it. They win the Stanley Cup in 5 over top of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So let's check the award winners of this season. So as you guys can see there, the Toronto Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup. The Carolina Hurricanes win the President's Trophy. They have the same record as the Leafs, or the same amount of points actually, but probably had more ROWs. And it was a Toronto versus Tampa Bay Cup Final. Individual awards now, Evgeny Malkin wins the Art Ross Trophy. For the Hart, Evgeny Malkin wins that as well. For the Norris, John Carlson of the Washington Capitals. The Lady Byng goes to Tyler Seguin. The Calder Memorial goes to Lafreniere. The Conn Smythe actually goes to Mitch Marner. I thought it was going to go to Freddie Andersen, but Mitch Marner wins the Conn Smythe. The Vezina goes to Connor Hellebuck. His back-to-back Vezina wins. The William M. Jennings goes to Peter Mrazek. The Bill Masterson goes to Travis Hamonic of the Chicago Blackhawks. I guess they signed him in free agency. Jack Adams goes to the coach of the Chicago Blackhawks. With all due respect, they got 3rd place in their division. The Selke goes to Anze Kopitar of the LA Kings. The Ted Lindsay also goes to Evgeny Malkin. And the Maurice Richard goes to Patrick Kane. All right, that is going to do it for our 2021 NHL season simulation. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like down below. And also make sure to subscribe, as I'll be posting hockey content regularly. Also make sure to leave a comment down below who you think is going to win this year's NHL Stanley Cup. It is going to be a weird year, however, I'm super excited that hockey's back, and I know you guys are too. If you guys didn't know, I also stream over at twitch.tv, so make sure you go check me out. Give me a follow, twitch.tv/yourboyzoo. I stream a lot of games like NHL 21, Apex Legends, Minecraft, you name it. So make sure you go check it out. My link will also be down low in the description. I thank you all for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day. Hockey's back.